Hey, welcome to the Language Exchange channel. I'm Anna and today we're talking about the 10 most commonly used verbs in English. Let's get started. Do you have any idea about which verbs I'm talking about? Any idea about the 10 most commonly used verbs in English? Post here on the comments, let's try to guess before I start. Pause the video and post on the comments the verbs you think I'll talk about today. If you're new here, the Language Exchange channel brings you tips about grammar, pronunciation, listening English practice, and more. Subscribe and watch the other videos to practice your English. Once you're an English student, you probably have talked about some of the verbs I'll mention here. Some of my students talk to me and they get confused about some of the verbs. And they say, oh, I see those verbs everywhere, but how exactly can I use them? I just don't know how to use it. Can you give me some tips? And that's what we're going to see today. And guess what? The first verb on the list is the verb to be. Very well known among English students and English speakers, the verb to be has some different forms in the present and in the past, and it's a verb we use a lot. Some examples I can mention to you. I am happy, she is married, I'm single, are you busy now? Here, these examples are in the simple present, but I can also give you some examples in the past, which we have was and were. I was born in New York, for example. Where were you yesterday at 10? So these are some examples of the verb to be. Considering this is the top number one, you should be familiar and know it and create lots of examples using the verb to be so you become an expert because you're going to use this verb all the time. The verb to have. I have a sister. Do you have a car? She has something to do right now. So I have these different forms. I have and he has, for example, and it's a verb we use a lot. That's the number 2. The top number 3 is a very common verb. We have a video talking about it here, just about this verb, and it's the verb to do. The verb do is an auxiliary verb in English. That's why it's so common, because people know it. To ask questions, we use the verb to do as an auxiliary verb. Do you speak English, for example? And also, it's something very common, the meaning of the verb to do, which means when you do something, you're doing an activity. So we use the verb to do all the time as well. Some examples. We use he, she, or it does. For example, he does his homework after school every single day. I don't like to talk about myself. That's a negative form. That's just the auxiliary verb. I don't. So we use do in different occasions. In the past, do becomes did. Did you study? Number 4, the verb to say. I said we had very common verbs here, and that's the verb to say. I just said the verb to say in the past. So in the present, I say something about studying English every single day. What would you say? So here we have the verb say, very, very common. And in the past, we say said. I also brought an example with would. It's kind of more advanced. Do you know how to use the verbs with would? Tell us here in the comments. Now the verb to make. The same idea of the verb to do in meaning. The verb to make is in many places. For example, when you buy a pair of shoes, usually you see made in Japan, for example. So made is the past of the verb make. Do you make your bed in the morning? That's another example with the verb make. My mom makes delicious cakes when I visit her. That's another example. The verb to go. The verb to go is the next. That's the number 6. I go everywhere. Where did you go yesterday? In the past, it's different. We say went. I went to the beach on my last vacation. To go is really common, and it's something you need to memorize very quick because you're going to see the verb to go in many places. Also, we have going, which is the verb to go used in the ing, and we use going to talk about the future. Now the number 7, the verb to take. Take. I take the bus to go to school in the morning. Take has different meanings. You can use it in different ways. For example, in the past, I can say I took a shower this morning and it was very cold. So we also say take pictures. We have different forms, different words that match the verb to take. So explore it, okay? The number 8, to come. Come with me. Come to my house. Come to visit. The verb to come is super popular, and we say, for example, come on. There is this expression, and in the past we say came. My friend came from Argentina when he was 16 years old, and now he's 20. So the verb to come is super popular too. The number 9, to see. I mentioned the verb to see earlier. I don't know if you noticed, but I used this verb here when I started talking to you guys in this video today. And the verb to see is super popular because you see things. When we speak a second language, we see things differently. Did you see the neighbor bought a new car? Yesterday I saw my friend from school. That's the verb to see. Now the top 10 is the verb to get. Many students ask me about this verb. They say they get confused about it because they see it everywhere and they simply don't get it. Did you get it? Well, get is a verb with many different meanings, and there is the verb to get with the meaning of become. For example, I got sad after hearing the news about a problem, for example. Do you get anxious when you need to do something different? I got very proud of him because he passed on his exam. I can also say I get something. For example, I need to go to the supermarket to get some things, some food. And that's the verb to get. If you think of more examples, I'll also leave some examples here in the description of this video. And please leave comments and questions so we can practice together. And remember, practice makes better. And that's a wrap. See you guys!